My name is Rebecca Walsh, I'm 34 years old, and I'm standing in the parking lot of Peaceful Meadows Cemetery, watching my sister drive away in her BMW with our mother's diamond bracelet, the one she just told me she's planning to sell. Before Mom's body is even cold in the ground. 3 hours ago, I handed her that bracelet thinking I was honoring our mother's final wish. Now I realize I may have made the biggest mistake of my life. This story starts 6 months ago, when my mother, Eleanor Walsh, lay dying of pancreatic cancer, and where I learned that my sister Victoria had become a stranger motivated by nothing but money. Mom had been sick for 14 months. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, diagnosed too late. The doctors gave her 6 months. She managed 14 through sheer will and unfinished business, trying to repair the relationship between Victoria and me. Victoria and I had become completely different people. I'd followed Mom and Dad's path, teaching middle school English, marrying my college sweetheart David, living modestly, finding joy in simple things. Victoria had moved to Manhattan, worked in finance, married Trevor Blackwood, a hedge fund manager whose family name and bank account opened every door. During Mom's illness, Victoria's true priorities became clear. In 14 months, she visited exactly 4 times. I was there every day possible, juggling teaching with appointments, treatments, and Mom's increasing care needs. Rebecca, you don't have to do all this, Mom would say. Victoria has her own life. So do I, Mom. But this is what family does. The breaking point came in Mom's final weeks. I called Victoria, you need to come home. Mom doesn't have much time. I know, Becca. But Trevor's family has this charity auction this weekend, and I'm chairing the committee. It's important for his business. Victoria, Mom is dying. She's asking for you. Can't she hold on until next week? I hung up on her. Mom died Thursday morning, with me holding her left hand and David her right. Victoria arrived that evening from the charity auction, still in her designer gown, annoyed she'd had to cut her weekend short. The reading of Mom's will contain no major surprises. The house and assets were split equally between Victoria and me. Mom's jewelry mostly went to me, while Victoria received designer items and expensive art, but there was one item that stood out: Mom's diamond bracelet. White gold with 7 perfectly matched diamonds, worth about $30,000. Dad had given it to Mom for their 25th anniversary. According to the will, the bracelet came to me. But there was an additional note. My dearest Rebecca, Mom's letter began, the diamond bracelet was one of my most treasured possessions, not because of its value, but because of what it represented: your father's love, our marriage, our commitment to family. But I have one request. If Victoria seems genuinely interested in having it, please consider giving it to her. I hope it might remind her of what family means. I've watched her lose herself in a world that values things over people, and maybe holding something that meant so much to your father and me might help her remember who she used to be. Use your judgment, sweetheart. If you think she'd just sell it, keep it for yourself. But if there's any chance it might touch her heart, please try. I looked at Victoria, who was examining her manicure. The diamond bracelet goes to you, right? She asked. Yes. Good. You were here taking care of her. You should get the good jewelry. Something in her dismissive tone made me pause. But I thought about Mom's letter, her hope that the bracelet might reconnect Victoria to our family's values. Actually, Victoria, I'd like you to have it. Victoria looked up sharply. Really? Mom loved that bracelet. I think she'd want you to have something that reminds you of how much she loved both of us. Victoria's eyes lit up. Becca, that's incredibly generous. This means more than you know. For a moment, I thought I saw tears in her eyes. For a moment, I thought Mom's plan was working. I should have trusted my first instinct. The funeral was everything Mom would have wanted: simple, heartfelt, focused on celebrating her life. After the burial, as people walked back to their cars, Victoria and I walked together in silence. That's when Victoria moved closer and whispered the words that shattered everything. I'm selling it after this. I stopped walking. What? The bracelet. I'm selling it after the reception. Trevor knows a guy who deals in estate jewelry. He thinks I can get at least 25 grand for it, maybe 30. I stared at her. Victoria, we just buried our mother. I know. But Becca, you don't understand our financial situation. Trevor's fund had some setbacks, and we have cash flow issues. This bracelet could solve a lot of problems. Then give it back to me. Victoria laughed. Becca, you're a middle school teacher, married to an accountant. Where are you going to get $30,000? I'll figure it out. That's exactly the kind of impractical emotional decision-making that keeps you poor. The casual cruelty took my breath away. Victoria, please. Think about what Mom would want. Mom's dead, Becca. She doesn't want anything anymore. Victoria checked her phone. I need to get to the reception. People will expect to see me there. I watched her drive away, still wearing our mother's bracelet, and realized Mom had been wrong. Some people can't be saved from themselves, but I wasn't ready to give up. When I got home, David was waiting with takeout and wine. I told him everything: Mom's letter, Victoria's whispered confession. She said that at Mom's funeral, he asked. Before we'd even left the cemetery. David was quiet. Becca, I wasn't going to say anything, but at the visitation, I overheard Victoria on the phone. She was talking about estate jewelry appraisals, mentioned the bracelet specifically, said it was finally within reach. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. She planned this before I even offered it to her. The next morning, I called our family lawyer, Mr. Harrison. If I gave someone property as a gift, but I can prove they misrepresented their intentions, do I have any recourse? Mr. Harrison explained that Mom's letter created a conditional gift. I should only give the bracelet to Victoria if it would serve its intended purpose of reconnecting her to family values. You'd need evidence that she was planning to sell it. Before you gave it to her, he said. I started gathering evidence. My cousin Sarah confirmed she'd seen Victoria take a call at the visitation about getting something appraised quickly. Victoria's own social media showed financial strain disguised as lifestyle posts, but the real evidence came from an unexpected source, Trevor himself. Trevor called me a week after the funeral. I need to talk to you about the bracelet. Victoria's planning to sell it, and you should know the whole story. We met at a coffee shop. Trevor looked terrible, tired, stressed, older than his years. We're broke, Rebecca. Not cash flow problems. Broke. My fund collapsed 6 months ago. We've been living on credit cards, trying to maintain appearances. Why are you telling me this? Because Victoria's been planning to get that bracelet since your mother got sick. She's been researching its value, contacting dealers. When you gave it to her, she called me bragging about how easy it was to manipulate you. Trevor pulled out a folder. These are copies of everything: text messages, emails, phone records showing she was researching buyers before your mother even died. This could destroy your marriage. My marriage was already destroyed. I'm leaving her and filing for divorce next week. The evidence was overwhelming. Victoria had obtained the bracelet through fraud and misrepresentation. I called Mr. Harrison. I want to file for recovery of the bracelet based on fraudulent misrepresentation. Are you certain? This will likely destroy your relationship with your sister permanently. My relationship with my sister was destroyed the moment she decided to sell our mother's memory for cash. The legal papers were served to Victoria 2 weeks after Mom's funeral. She called that evening, screaming. How could you do this to me? I'm your sister. Sisters don't manipulate each other using their dead mother's final wishes. You gave me that bracelet willingly. I gave it to you because I believed you wanted something meaningful to remember Mom by. You wanted it because you'd already researched how much cash you could get for it. Trevor talked to you. He gave me all the evidence I needed. Text messages, emails, financial records. You played me, Victoria, but you weren't smart enough to cover your tracks. Victoria hired expensive lawyers, but the evidence was overwhelming. The case went to court 3 months later. I testified about Mom's letter and my reasons for giving Victoria the bracelet. Trevor testified about Victoria's months of planning to sell it, providing documentation of her communications with dealers. The judge wasn't buying Victoria's claims of genuine sentimental interest. Ms. Blackwood, the evidence shows you began researching the bracelet's monetary value within days of learning about your mother's diagnosis. Your claim that you wanted it for sentimental reasons is contradicted by your own documented actions. The judge ordered Victoria to return the bracelet immediately and pay my legal fees. I got the bracelet back on a Thursday afternoon in May, 6 months after Mom's death. Holding it felt different now. It carried not just Dad's love and Mom's hope, but also the weight of what Victoria had chosen to throw away. Victoria and Trevor's divorce was finalized 6 months later. Victoria had to sell everything and move back with our aunt. She's never spoken to me again, sending only signed Christmas cards each year. I wear Mom's bracelet every year on her birthday, Christmas, and family gatherings. It's a reminder that some things are worth more than money, not what they cost, but what they mean. Not what you can get for them, but what you're willing to sacrifice to keep them. Mom was right about one thing: the bracelet did teach someone about family values. Just not the person she expected. Sometimes the most important lessons come from watching others make terrible choices, and deciding to choose differently. Last month, on what would have been Mom's 75th birthday, I received an unexpected letter. The return address showed Victoria's name, but from an address I didn't recognize, a small apartment complex in suburban New Jersey, far from her former Manhattan penthouse. Dear Rebecca, the letter began in Victoria's familiar handwriting, though somehow smaller and less confident than I remembered. I know I have no right to contact you after everything that happened, but today I found myself thinking about Mom. And the bracelet and the terrible mistake I made. I've been working as a real estate agent for the past year, and yesterday I helped a widow sell her home. She showed me her late husband's watch, which she was planning to sell to help with expenses. But when I saw how she held it, how her eyes filled with tears as she talked about their anniversary when he gave it to her, I realized what I had almost done to Mom's memory. I know I can never undo the pain I caused you, or repair the trust I broke. But I wanted you to know that losing the bracelet taught me something about what really matters. It's taken me 2 years to understand what you knew all along, that love can't be liquidated, and memories can't be monetized. I hope you still wear it sometimes and think of the good memories we shared as children, before I lost my way. Your sister, Victoria. I read the letter 3 times before showing it to David. What do you think? I asked. I think she's finally learning what Mom hoped the bracelet would teach her, he said. Even if it took losing everything to get there. I never responded to Victoria's letter, but I kept it. Sometimes redemption isn't about grand gestures or dramatic reconciliations. Sometimes it's simply about finally understanding what you threw away, and why it mattered. The bracelet sits in my jewelry box now, waiting for the next family celebration where it will catch the light and remind everyone present that some treasures can't be bought or sold, only cherished, protected, and passed down with love. Emails, phone records showing she was researching buyers before your mother even died. Trevor reached into his briefcase and pulled out a manila folder. These are copies of everything I could find. Victoria's been careless because she didn't think anyone would ever challenge her. But I kept records of our financial situation, including her communications with jewelry dealers. I opened the folder and found exactly what Mr. Harrison had said I would need, clear evidence that Victoria had been planning to sell the bracelet from the moment she learned about it, that her emotional response to receiving it had been completely fabricated, and that she had deliberately manipulated me into giving her something she intended to sell for cash. Trevor, this could destroy your marriage. My marriage was already destroyed. This just makes it official. I looked at him across the table, this man who had been complicit in my sister's transformation into someone I barely recognized, now trying to do the right thing even though it would cost him everything. Why now? Why are you helping me? Because, when I met Victoria, she was different. She was ambitious and driven, but she still had values. She still cared about family, about doing the right thing. I watched her turn into someone who would steal from her dying mother's estate, and I realize I was part of making that happen. What are you going to do? I'm leaving her. I've already found an apartment in Queens, and I'm filing for divorce next week. Our financial situation makes it complicated, but I can't pretend anymore that this is the life I want. Trevor stood up to leave, then turned back. Rebecca, your mother talked about you all the time during her last months. Victoria would complain that you were calling too much, visiting too much, being too involved in her care. But your mother would just smile and say, at least one of my daughters understands what family means. She said that? Every time Victoria criticized you for being overly emotional or impractical, your mother would defend you. She said you were the one who inherited her values, and that someday Victoria would realize what she'd given up in pursuit of money. Trevor gathered his things. Don't let Victoria win this one. Your mother deserves better. After he left, I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, staring at the evidence he'd given me and trying to decide what to do next. The legal case was clear-cut. Victoria had obtained the bracelet through fraud and misrepresentation. I could prove it, get the bracelet back, and ensure that Mom's wishes were honored, but pursuing the case would mean destroying what remained of my relationship with my sister, exposing her financial desperation publicly, and acknowledging that the family Mom had tried so hard to keep together was irreparably broken. For a moment, I considered just letting it go. The bracelet was just an object, after all. Was it worth a family war? Then I remembered Mom's letter, her hope that the bracelet might remind Victoria of what family means. Victoria hadn't just rejected that hope, she'd weaponized it, using Mom's love as a tool to manipulate me. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. I called Mr. Harrison from the coffee shop parking lot. Robert, I have the evidence we discussed. I want to file for recovery of the bracelet based on fraudulent misrepresentation. Are you certain, Rebecca? This will likely destroy your relationship with your sister permanently. My relationship with my sister was destroyed the moment she decided to sell our mother's memory for cash. I'm just making it official. The legal papers were served to Victoria at her Manhattan penthouse on a Tuesday morning, exactly 2 weeks after Mom's funeral. According to the process server, she was so shocked that she initially refused to accept them, claiming there had been some mistake. There was no mistake, the lawsuit was straightforward: recovery of property obtained through fraudulent misrepresentation. I was asking for the immediate return of the bracelet, plus legal fees and damages for emotional distress. The evidence Trevor had provided was damning: text messages with jewelry dealers dating back to Mom's diagnosis, emails discussing the bracelet's value, phone records showing calls to auction houses before Mom had even died. Victoria called me that evening, screaming, "How could you do this to me? I'm your sister. You were my sister. Sisters don't manipulate each other using their dead mother's final wishes. You gave me that bracelet willingly. No one forced you. I gave it to you because I believed you wanted something meaningful to remember Mom by. You wanted it because you'd already researched how much cash you could get for it. I need that money, Becca. You don't understand what my life is like, what my expenses are." "I understand perfectly. Your husband explained everything." Silence. "Trevor talked to you. He gave me all the evidence I needed to prove you planned this from the beginning. Text messages, emails, financial records. You played me, Victoria, but you weren't smart enough to cover your tracks. That bastard. He's just trying to hurt me because I won't agree to his terms for the divorce. The divorce you didn't mention when you were crying about cash flow problems?" Another silence. "Victoria, you had a choice. You could have told me the truth about your financial situation, and we could have worked something out. Instead, you decided to turn Mom's death into a business opportunity. It's just a piece of jewelry." "No, it wasn't. It was Dad's love for Mom. It was Mom's hope that you might remember what family means. It was her final attempt to bring us together. And you were going to sell it to pay your credit card bills." Victoria's voice changed, becoming calculating. "Fine. You want the bracelet back? I'll sell it to you. $50,000. $50,000? You said it was worth 30. Prices have gone up. And I need compensation for the emotional distress of being sued by my own sister." "Victoria, you don't get to extort me. The court will order you to return it, and then you'll have to pay my legal fees on top of it. We'll see about that." She hung up. Victoria hired her own lawyer, an expensive Manhattan firm that specialized in estate disputes. They tried every argument they could think of. The gift was legally complete. I had no grounds for recovery. The evidence was obtained improperly. Trevor was a disgruntled ex-husband whose testimony couldn't be trusted. None of it worked. The case went to court 3 months later. I testified about Mom's letter, about my reasons for giving Victoria the bracelet, and about discovering her true intentions. Trevor testified about Victoria's months of planning to sell the bracelet, providing documentation of her communications with dealers and her statements about manipulating me. Victoria testified in her own defense, claiming that she genuinely wanted the bracelet for sentimental reasons but had been forced to consider selling it due to unexpected financial hardships. Her lawyer painted her as a grieving daughter caught in a difficult situation, trying to preserve her family's dignity while dealing with economic pressures beyond her control. The judge wasn't buying it. "Ms. Blackwood," he said during his ruling, "the evidence shows that you began researching the bracelet's monetary value within days of learning about your mother's diagnosis. You contacted multiple dealers and auction houses before your mother passed away, and you made statements to several witnesses about your plans to sell the bracelet. Your claim that you wanted it for sentimental reasons is contradicted by your own documented actions." The judge ordered Victoria to return the bracelet immediately and to pay my legal fees, which totaled nearly $15,000. Victoria appealed, of course. The appeal was denied. I got the bracelet back on a Thursday afternoon in May, almost 6 months after Mom's death. Victoria's lawyer handed it over in the courthouse lobby with obvious reluctance, as if he were surrendering military secrets to an enemy. The bracelet looked exactly the same, 7 perfect diamonds catching the light, the white gold still gleaming. But holding it felt different now. It no longer carried just the weight of Dad's love and Mom's hope. Now it also carried the weight of what Victoria had chosen to throw away in pursuit of money. That evening, I called Trevor. He'd moved to Queens as planned and was working for a small investment firm, rebuilding his career from the ground up. "I heard you got it back," he said. "Yes. Thank you, Trevor. I couldn't have done this without your help. I'm just glad something good came out of this mess." "Have you heard from Victoria since the ruling?" "No. You?" "She's been calling constantly, alternating between begging me to come back and threatening to destroy me financially in the divorce. I think losing the bracelet was harder for her than losing the marriage." "That says everything you need to know about who she's become." Trevor was quiet for a moment. "Rebecca, can I ask you something? What are you going to do with the bracelet now?" It was a question I'd been thinking about for months. The bracelet was beautiful, valuable, and loaded with family history. But it was also a reminder of how greed had poisoned my relationship with my sister, how money could corrupt even the most sacred bonds. "I'm going to keep it," I said finally. "Not because of its monetary value, but because Mom wanted it to remind someone of what family means. It reminded me that family isn't just about blood, it's about values, loyalty, and love. Victoria chose money over those things, but that doesn't mean I have to. 6 months later, Victoria and Trevor's divorce was finalized. Victoria had to sell the penthouse, liquidate her remaining assets, and move back in with our aunt in New Jersey. Trevor remarried a year later, a social worker he met in Queens who didn't care about his social status or bank account. Victoria has never spoken to me again. She sends Christmas cards to David and me each year, signed simply Victoria, with no personal message. I hear updates about her life through relatives. She's working as a real estate agent now, trying to rebuild her career from scratch, living modestly for the first time in her adult life. Sometimes I wonder if losing everything might have taught her the lessons Mom hoped the bracelet would provide. But then I remember her whispered words at Mom's funeral, "I'm selling it after this," and I realize that some people only learn value after they've lost everything valuable. I wear Mom's bracelet every year on her birthday, and every Christmas, and every family gathering. It's beautiful, but more than that, it's a reminder of what really matters, not what things cost, but what they mean. Not what you can get for them, but what you're willing to sacrifice to keep them. Mom was right about one thing: the bracelet did teach someone about family values. Just not the person she expected. Sometimes the most important lessons come from watching others make terrible choices, and deciding to choose differently.
Do you enjoy stories with emotion and twists? Then like, subscribe, and activate the bell. Here, every word touches you.